a bunch of light.
Hi. Hello. Okay, we are going to talk today about houses at Lepenski Vir, a culture, first Mesolithic culture. Were they for living, or were they a kind of a shrine, sanctuary, religious objects? Okay. So, today I'm going to use a few photographs on my computer because I want to show you how it looked like. First, this is Lepenski Vir before it was moved. So this is the original Lepenski Vir. And this is the Danube. Okay, this is the settlement, their village. This is Danube, and this is the big rock on the Romanian side called Trescănaț. Okay, they were looking at it, and here are the whirlpools in the Danube. Okay, so what we have, what was left? No, here. Okay. So this is the second, but we want. I want to show you the house like this. No, not like this. No. Okay. We only have the floor of the house left. It's a kind of a concrete, okay, very primitive but concrete. We don't have the upper part of houses, and thus some architects and archaeologists supposed how that upper part of the houses looked like. And their interpretation differs, okay? We have about a dozen of interpretations. So, this is the down part. The floor looked like this, okay? Like this. This is the entrance, and here is the Danube. Dragoslav Srejović, the archaeologist, the most important one for Lepenski Vir, said it's a kind of a trapeze or trapezoidal form, but that's not true because trapeze has parallel lines, and this is like a part of a circle, so it's a bit rounded, this part. And we have one other architect, Pedja Ristić, called Jesus, and he didn't agree with Srejović, and he said, no, this is a kind of a rounded circular form. He said something like, lepez, okay, it doesn't matter, but what was his point? Here is the point called C, okay? The dot called C, from where, and that is the center of theoretical circle. So they knew how to make the circle, and that point C was the center of it. And his PhD that he did in 1980 at Graz was about that point, okay, and houses in general at Lepenski Vir. So that's true because this part is round. So what do we have from what the others say? Let us see some other solutions. This is a solution of Pedja Ristić, okay, and he said the upper part looks like a tent, okay, with some, I don't know, furs and animal skins and things like that. Then we have a solution of today's actual architect, Hristivoje Pavlović, and he says that the upper part of houses is kalota, is like a ball, like half ball or a half sphere, okay? And this is his suggestion how that village of Lepenski Vir looked like. But there's a problem, because if you have something ovoical, like an egg, or like a ball, and you cut it in half, okay, like this or like this, then you'll get a circle or a oval shape. You won't get this complicated shape like their floor was. So what does it basically mean? Why would they make such complicated floors and then put something that's like half spherical? It's not logical, okay? As for those floors, there is a parallel with one other culture, Natufian, from Levant, and it was about 1,000 years older, from, I don't know, 12,600 until 10,000 years before Christ, okay? And it was a pre-ceramic Neolithic culture, and they had something similar for floors. And they had as well one more similarity with the Lepenski Vir, and that is the cult of the skull. Because sometimes, we will see that later, they were burying parts of the body. For example, only the head, only the skull. Okay, let us see what else do we have. This is, for example, a reconstruction of Dushaan Borić. This is, this is Milenko Bogdanović in his book about the architecture of Lepenski Vir. He put one on other few houses that are different sizes. He wanted to show that it's always the same proportion. So only the size varies, but the proportion are the same. Okay, you'll see that. The photographs will be put in our Facebook pages. Okay. What we have else, and this is at today's museum of Lepenski Vir. Behind the museum you have a reconstruction like this, okay, real reconstruction like this. Of course the floor is the same as at Lepenski Vir, the original. So basically we don't know how the upper part looked like, but it was made from materials that couldn't survive all these aeons and millennia. So it was probably from straw, some wooden material, some grass material, furs and things like that. Okay, but let us see how the inside of the house looked like. So, this is the inside of the house, and this is the like fireplace, firestone. Okay, these are the figurines. We didn't have them in all houses, mostly one at a time, but not in all houses. But we had something else, and that is, okay, that is an altar. We will come back. Altar, okay. This is that, let's see, concrete fire, heart stone. Okay, this is the heart stone where they had fire or kept ashes for the day, for the next day, and they made the fire here. This is the altar, so this is the center of the house. A kind of a stone that has a little place for something, but we don't have traces of fire. We don't have traces of fire on those altars. And there were in every home, there was, in every house, each house there was an altar. Okay, Srejović said it was an altar, but Ristić Jesus said that it was a kind of a stone that fixed the pole for the main pole for the tent. That was, you know, the main construction part of the tent, that pole. So they had a big discussion at that time, and it was all very interesting. Okay, so we have the heart stone, and we have altar, and we have some pieces of stone like slags all over. I will show you now. No, we are going here now. Okay, so this is the how the original looked like, what they found. So this is the one house, the interior of the house. Here is the entrance, and this looks at Danube and the Romanian. Romania. Okay, Hearthstone. Hristivoje Pavlović thinks, no, this is for ashes, and they made fire here. Then you have those stone slabs, like this, and the altar is here in the center of the house. Okay. And sometimes you have a figurine from stone, of course. We're going to talk about that. But what was the most interesting thing? When they defined the place for the new house, they put all these elements, and then they like poured the concrete thing, okay, the concrete all around, so all those elements were fixed. Okay, that was the interesting part. But I want to show you something else. Okay, this is the house. So we have the heart stone, the heart stove, or the place for ashes, and here was the fire. So we have those slags. This is the altar, okay, and we have these 2 points. So this is 1/3, 2/3 of this part of the house. And here was a place for fixing the pole that was holding, for example, the roof. We don't know. And Pedja Ristić Jesus says, no, this is not the altar. It's the for the main pole fixation place. Okay, but what does it mean altar if they didn't burn anything inside? You have something that's called a cigarette. That's called libatia, or libation, a liquid sacrifice. That means they poured some kind of a liquid in cult, in religion, or purposes. For example, you have to sacrifice something when you're I don't know, when you're building a house, you know, for example. We have that today in our country, in Serbia, for example, when we bury someone, we have a spirit, okay? So, we take the glass and then pour something on the ground for the soul of the deceased, and then we'll drink it, rakia or something. So, it's incredible. this liquid sacrifice survived all those millennia. Okay, so we have fixed elements of the house, but that's not all. The most interesting thing is, okay, you see, this is the hearth stove, and here is the altar in this house. But we have some very thin tiles from stone, like this. They are all pointed to this center, okay? And they are in the shape of Cyrillic letters A, L, and like a triangle. So we have A, L is like this, like A without this part, and a triangle. 3 different types. In our country, there is a big discussion between the alternative scientists that say this is a proto-script or something like that. It just looks like a letter, but it doesn't mean that's a letter, okay? So this is one of the themes for discussion for later. But it's interesting. So what the archaeologists say, no, that was a kind of a connection between the down world and our world. So the world of our ancestors and us. That means the Lepen people, okay? For example, maybe for that liquid sacrifice, or for leaving them some food, or I don't know what, or for fixing something that was they cooked here on that fire in the big fireplace. Okay, one of those things. And this is interesting too. This is mandibula. That means this part, lower jaw, feminine jaw, with a little tile like this from stone. And architect Hristivoje Pavlović thinks this is the prototype of the first letter A. Okay, it's just interesting. I don't think it's true, but he says something like that. And this is a famous house 69, and the skeleton that is positioned in as a yogi. We say yogi position, but we're going to talk about that when we talk. We shall talk about burying ritus, and we will analyze this one. Okay, we only have 2 or 3 buried in this position, skeletons. But what's interesting, the parts of his bones are very similar to the proportions and parts of the house, of the floor of the house. This is very interesting, and this is the dot C, or the point C. You see, this is the floor of the house, actual. This part doesn't exist, but this is the hypothetical center of that big circle, you see, that Pedja Ristić talked about. So this is fascinating. Okay, we're talking about 9,000 years before Christ. Okay, 10 millennia ago. And I think that's it. Yes, that's it for the photographs. I finished my cigarette. I'm gonna have a sip of coffee. And that's it for today. See you tomorrow. We're going to talk about how they, everyday life, what they were eating, what were they doing, and things like that. Okay. Stay safe, enjoy, have fun. See you.